Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. It is Q&A Fridays, coming to you live from the car. I know we've never done a car one. I haven't done a car one yet. There's always a first time for everything. And as the world continues to change on an hourly basis, we need to adapt along with it. So yes, this Q&A Friday is coming to you from a car for a very good reason, by the way. As some of you may have, who've been playing along at home, you may know that Mahi and I have been self-isolating for the last, we're 1 week in today of self-isolation. So we've been spending pretty much 99% of our time at home. But today we need to venture out, because currently in our home, and hello to everyone who's joining me, by the way. Hello, welcome. Let me know where you are. Let me know how you're doing too. It's good for us to just check in with each other. How are you doing? What is the situation like where you are? Because the situation is different depending on where you are in the world. And obviously here in Australia, we're not completely confined to our homes. We are still able to go out, but within constraints, because as I was saying, Mahi and I have been self-isolating. We're 7 days in now. The reason why we decided to self-isolate is we have travelled extensively in the last 5 weeks. I don't know how many airports, 14, 15 airports we've done in the last 4 to 5 weeks. We've done, 4 to 5 countries. So we decided that just it's not so much about us keeping us safe, it's about keeping everyone else safe. So even though we are out today, and I'm out today because we have to be out today. So currently living in our home, we have our son, who has been very sick. He's pretty much incapacitated. He can't move, he can't walk, he can't fend for himself. So we've got our son. We have our teenage daughter as well, and we also have our 2 elderly parents who are both quite ill. So it is our responsibility then to go out and source food. A little bit of that hunter and gathering sort of stuff going on there, if you guys know what I mean. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Is I have to go out. I have to go and get food. I am responsible for cooking at home and making sure that everyone has enough food and the right food as well, because we're still trying to stay completely healthy and completely normal in everything that we're doing. So here we are, sitting in the car, sitting in an alleyway, as you can see. We're literally currently sitting in an alleyway. About to go and pop into a shop, and I want to take you guys shopping with me just to show you that there are alternatives to supermarkets. Because right now, like here in Australia, the supermarkets are nuts. You go in there at 9 o'clock in the morning and the shelves have already been wiped clean, even though they have been stocked pretty much overnight. So we need to start thinking outside the square. Hi Ruth, thank you for joining me. We need to start thinking outside the square, guys. We need to start thinking about the alternatives to supermarkets. I know they are convenient. They are a one-stop shop, but they're no longer convenient. And they're no longer a one-stop shop because we can't actually get everything we need in that supermarket. Things have changed. The world, like I was saying, is changing on an hourly or a daily basis. So we need to adapt along with those changes. And sometimes we need to get outside of our comfort zone a little bit. Thank you, Ruth. We are staying as safe as we can, and God bless you and your family as well, my darling. It's so good to see you. I love going online and seeing that Ruth's been there. She's been somewhere and she's got her footprint there. So thank you, Ruth, my love, for being here and joining us today on this live. So yes, I'm going to take you guys shopping in a second and show you guys just an alternative to the supermarket, because the supermarkets aren't really that great at the moment, and that whole idea of that convenience shopping and that one-stop shopping is no longer as convenient as it used to be, because we're getting frustrated and we're finding that we're not able to buy all the things that we need. And one of the key points that I have been making for the last month that we have been experiencing, especially in our parts of the world, that we've been experiencing the change to our environment and the change to the way that we look at life, especially. Hi to Kayleen. Thank you for joining me, my darling. We have definitely, I've been always saying that we still need to maintain our health, because our health is our wealth. And it's about building our immunity. So we don't want to go crazy and start to go out and, panic buy pasta and rice, because that's not going to be good for anyone. Apart from filling your stomach, you're not actually essentially going to feel good about it, and you're definitely not going to be protecting your health and your immune system, which is really important. So I'm going to take you into a store in a couple of seconds. Before we get there, there's a couple of questions that came through during our Facebook, on our Facebook page, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen Family, our group. There's been a couple of pages, and hi to Michelle too. Yeah, your supermarkets are nuts too. I know, my love. It's just ridiculous. You're in New Zealand and the supermarkets are nuts, and everyone's just, and it's not a nice environment to be in either when you're in the supermarkets. They're not pleasant. Do you know what I mean? They're not pleasant at all. They're just, they actually, I think they provoke even more fear within us. And I want to show you guys that there's other things that we can do to look after ourselves and our families and the people that we love without getting into that mindset that there's only food in the supermarkets, because that's so untrue. So in a second we'll go in there. But before we go in there, what I want to talk to you guys about today is some of the questions that have come through on our private group, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen Family, throughout the week. And they really had to do with alternatives, because people are finding that the vegetables they normally purchase or the food they normally purchase is either really hard to find, not really, but they just go to the wrong places, just don't go to the supermarket, or they're really expensive, which I get. For example, I've heard people talk about cauliflowers are now $11 for a cauliflower, and broccoli is, $12 a kilo, which is understandable because we're actually going out of broccoli and cauliflower season. Yeah, and there is this kind of manicness at the moment. So do you know what I mean? Like, we have to put things into perspective, that cauliflowers are going to be expensive and broccoli is going to be expensive now anyway, because we are coming out of that season, especially if you're in Australia and New Zealand. We're coming out of that season, so it's going to be expensive anyway, more expensive than a couple months ago or 6 months ago. But the other reason being is that as people begin to get a bit more panicked about what they're buying, the supermarket starts to put the prices up, as we know. So if you are looking at the veggie aisle and you're going, there's a lot of veg, but broccoli's expensive and cauliflower's expensive, go back to your first statement. There is still a lot of vegetables available. Every single time I walk into the supermarket, and I try to avoid it as much as possible, but when I have walked in the last couple of weeks, is that the veggie aisle is still full of produce. So farmers are still going to be harvesting. That does not stop. We're not reliant on certain vegetables coming from other countries. We can do that all within our country, whether it be Australia, New Zealand, Germany, France. Vegetables are still available there, right? So we need to work with what's in season, and we also need to work with what's in budget. So if you're going, I can't buy broccoli because it's $12 a kilo, well, just don't buy broccoli and buy other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, provided you are still purchasing vegetables and they're still looking after your immune system and your health and your gut, you are going to be doing yourself a favor. Because remember this as well, that 70 to 80% of our immune system, which is going to stop us from getting illnesses and viruses and flus and bugs, is created within our gut. So when our gut is healthy, our immune system is strong. So we want to avoid carbohydrates and things like processed carbs and sugar, things that don't actually look after our gut, and making sure that we're still including lots of vegetables. And like I said, that vegetable aisle, people are panic buying stuff that we don't eat anyway, guys. Let's be honest. Like, I don't promote pasta or flour or rice or sugar. Let them buy that stuff, because that's actually not a part of what we do. We need to go in and look into our veggie aisle. The supermarket, the place I'm about to show you guys in a second, go in there. It is so full of stock, you're going to freak out. Yeah, there's no panic buying here, because everyone's running into the supermarket to buy rice. We don't eat rice anyway, so we don't have to panic. We eat vegetables. We eat small amounts of protein. I know that the meat on the shelves is also disappearing really quickly. Well, guess what? We don't eat as much meat as other people, because we are making sure that we have our vegetables, and our vegetables are still going to be harvested, and they're still going to come to the market, and they're still going to need to be sold because they're perishables, so we can still get our vegetables. So if you're concerned that you can't get your cauli and your broccoli because it's too expensive, I have an idea. Let me show you. It's sitting on my lap. So about a year ago, I produced this book. It's called Go Food and No Food Lists. So it's basically a little booklet. It's about 12, 13 pages long, and it has alternatives to vegetables that you can start to incorporate into your diet. Not just vegetables, it has alternatives to fruit. Like, for example, if you can't find apples, what's some other fruit that you could incorporate into your diet so you still stay really, really gut healthy, you're still looking after your immune system, and you're still able to stay within budget? Well, guess what? This is what this booklet was basically made for. So I have a whole page on fruit. For example, if you can't get green apples because they're expensive, or they're really hard to find, or they're sold out, you can also instead have apricots, avocados, berries, cherries, coconuts, feijoas, figs, grapefruits, kiwi fruits, lemons, limes, mandarins, melons. The list goes on, and it's all there. Like, check it out. It's all there. So you've got your alternatives, as well as vegetables, as we were talking about before. So, for example, you can't get cauliflower and broccoli right now because it's really, really expensive. What are the alternatives to that? Look at that green list. It's huge. Look at the alternatives for vegetables. Let me just tell you a few here from my list. Alfalfa sprouts, artichoke hearts, asparagus, Asian greens, all of them, bok choy, pak choy, choy sum, all those wonderful greens, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, capsicums, celery, cherry tomatoes, courgettes, cucumbers, eggplants, fennel, kale, leek, lettuce, mushrooms, okra. Like, literally, there is a massive list of vegetables that we can include into our diet if some things are harder to find. So, what Mahe and I are going to do, a lot of people already have our Go Food, No Food list. A lot of people already have it. Can we make this available to people, Mahe, just as a separate? I'm just asking him. He didn't even know I was going to ask him that. He's looking at me going, we didn't speak about this before the live.
I'll let you know after.
He just said he'll let us know. If you've downloaded one of my meal plans, so you've either downloaded the Gut Fast meal plan, which Mahe and I are doing right now, or you've downloaded the 28-day meal plan, you would have gotten this free with that meal plan. So you already have a copy, you just need to download it and print it off. And it literally has every alternative, healthy alternative that you could use. So I'm going through the list. There's vegetables, there's fruit. Herbs and spices as well is in there. So understanding herbs and spices, what are really good herbs that you can have. If you can't find cumin powder, you could have curry instead. And there's also herbs that you should probably potentially avoid, just to stay nice and healthy. There is nuts and seeds in here. There is a page for fats and oils. There's also a page for sauces, condiments and dressings, dairy and non-dairy beverages, snack foods as well. And there, it is a comprehensive guide to alternatives when we are faced with walking into the store or the supermarket or the market where food is not as plentiful as what we are used to. And this is going to be really important moving forward, because we are nowhere near the peak of the virus or the containment process. So we need to move forward quite positively in the things that we do and our availability towards food. So if you are struggling with alternatives, here's a nice way to do it. My Go Food, No Food list. But also, one of the key things right now, guys, like seriously, this is what we all need to do. Like, I couldn't state this any more important, is you need to experiment with your cooking. So you can still stay within your gut healthy principles, because it's going to keep you healthy. But experiment with your recipes. And if you don't have broccoli because it's really expensive one day, what could you possibly do with fennel? And try new things. This is our time to experiment with our cooking and also experiment with our shopping. So I'm going to turn you guys around now, because we're going to go into my market, because I want to show you guys just, even though those supermarkets in certain areas may be bare, there are alternatives to supermarkets, lots of them, and we just need to think outside the square a little bit to look after ourselves and our family. So one of the main things is shop local, shop small, and shop independent. So supermarkets are big global chains, right? And that's where everyone tends to congregate. But think about going to your local butcher instead of going to the supermarket to buy your meat. Consider your local bakery to buy bread, if you do eat bread. I don't, so I'm good with that, but I have someone in my house who does eat bread, so we're going to our local bakery to buy his loaf of bread every 3 or 4 days. Think about the alternatives to that supermarket, and when you start to think outside the square a little bit, you will find that there is multiple places for us to buy food, and food is not going to run out. It's not going to, we have stocks. We have the ability to produce and grow food, and the cows are still going to be producing milk and all that sort of stuff. Things are going to continue on. We just need to start thinking outside the square a little bit. So come for a little walk with me now. I want to take you guys on a little bit of a walk.
Quick question.
Oh, yeah, quick question.
Pauline Anderson's asking, she can only get minced chicken. Does it work on Scotch eggs?
Well, Pauline just asked if she can only get minced chicken and does it work on Scotch eggs. Pauline, that's the only mince I use on Scotch eggs is chicken. That is the recipe. It's chicken and egg. You could use minced beef if you wanted to, but if you can't get minced beef, absolutely mince up your chicken or your turkey or whatever other meats you can get. We can still turn it into mince, like lamb and stuff like that. Think outside that little square a little bit, and minced chicken is actually a really nice way to get that protein into your diet that's really nice and lean, and it's also readily available. Because like I was saying, I was talking to a chicken farmer the other day, and she was telling me that the chickens are not going to stop laying. They lay. Eggs are not going to run out. Chicken is not going to run out. You know, this whole panic buying doesn't mean the food system is going to collapse. The food system is still going to keep on going because animals still need to do what animals do, and vegetables will still grow. And so we're going to be okay. And because we're already in that frame of mind where we're minimal protein, lots of gorgeous vegetables, we're not having to worry about whether the sugar aisle's empty or the flour aisle's empty or the pasta aisle's empty. We're good. We are good, guys. We are good. Yeah? So let's be good. And let me show you why we need to shop local. So the first thing I'm going to do before I hop out of the car is I'm going to put on a mask. Now the reason why I'm putting on a mask is not to protect me from other people. It's actually to protect other people from me. And so I'm putting on this mask because I don't want to potentially infect anyone just in case I have contracted anything within the last couple of months, weeks that Mahe and I have been traveling. So literally this mask here, and I'm hoping that you can still hear me, should be able to. There we go. Looking cool. Looking good. Is literally, can you still hear me? I reckon you probably can, because it's my little microphone's right here. This is to protect you from me, not me from you. Yeah. So every time I put this on, I'm helping to protect everyone around me. And of course, before I go in, look what I'm doing as well. I'm sanitizing my hands as well, because as I was saying, and let me just put you down there so I can sanitize my hands. Here we go. I'm sanitizing my hands before we go in to the store. We are taking every possible measure to get through this together. All right, here we go. It's a bit noisy. I'm going to turn you around because I'm in an alleyway. Look. In an alleyway. Life still goes on, right? Life still goes on. Right, so I'm currently walking to a store here I'm in Miranda. So if anyone's familiar with Miranda, the Sutherland Shire, so I am close to Cronulla. If anyone knows Sydney at all, this is the Miranda Mall. The big Westfield here in Miranda, which I'm avoiding because I'm trying to avoid big spaces and lots of people. I would rather, this is the perfect time for us to support our local businesses. I mean, and you know what, supporting your local businesses mean they stay in business and they can support their families and you know, when all this is over and we're back to normality resumes, we're going to still support our local businesses. Now this store here, I've actually been coming here for ages. It's called Mr. J's Asian Grocery Supermarket. Mr. J's. I've been coming here for, since we moved to this area, a couple years ago. And I come here for all my gorgeous bits and pieces. But one of the things I want you to really notice as I walk into here is, look, are the shelves bare? It looks exactly the way it looked the last time I walked in here. Like seriously, nothing has changed because everything is still on the shelves. And yes, they still do all the fresh. Remember we talked about how good all these fresh Asian greens are? They're amazing for us right now. So they've got Asian greens here, coriander, which is really important. But one of the things that for me is really vital when I am going through this process is obviously my tamaris. And the supermarket didn't have any tamari, but guess what? Mr. J's have. Oh yeah, they have my tamari, some gluten-free. But you know, I'm doing things like I'm buying miso paste, because one of the really cool things that we can do right now to look after ourselves and also to make sure that things stretch is soups. I have made so many soups in the last couple of days for everyone at home. So I'm looking at this soup now, this miso paste now, and it's good. It's water, soybeans, rice and salt. So this is fine. If I wanted to buy a miso paste, I would. How long do you think that would last in your, like, you only need a couple tablespoons to make soup. This would last so long, you know, and the miso paste is $7, and this would last so long in your fridge. So I'm looking at things that have longevity. They last a long time, but also they have the ability to be turned into other things as well. And for me, that is an absolute winner. So I love, like I was saying, I love the fact that these guys still have food on the shelves, and lots of them. Look, just check it out. All the sauces are still here, as well as all the nori, so I can make sashimi or sushi as well, which is really cool. All the chilies. I mean, if you are that way noodle inclined, look, there ain't no loss of noodles here. We're good. We are absolutely good. Rice noodles up there, vermicelli. You know, we are absolutely good with all that sort of stuff. And then even to see that their freezer section has still got all the food in their freezer. It does worry me what's happening in the supermarkets, do not get me wrong, but I just want to make sure that you guys know there are alternatives to supermarkets. Look at the spice rack. Spices are still here, and as I've said before, that if you want to keep your palate excited, especially if we do go into a bit of a lockdown, is you need to make sure you have all the spices available, lots and lots of spices, because the spices are going to give our food flavor, it's going to give it energy, it's going to give it vitality, and we're not going to get bored, which is really, really important. But one of the things I love about Mr. J's is, yes, they have all the spices, they have all the different sauces, they have tamari, they have all that wonderful stuff. They also have all the gluten-free flours, so we've got potato starch here. This here is glutinous rice flour. We've got normal rice flour. We also got tapioca. So I've got all these gluten-free flours with these guys. But one of the other things, where is it? I'm just trying to find it. Oh, and all the teas. The tea was sold out in the supermarket the last time I went. Look, oolong, one of the best teas you can get. Lots of green tea as well. Japanese tea. All this tea is really, really ginger tea. They're all really good. Oh, chrysanthemum tea as well. They're all really good for us. But the thing that I love about this, and why I keep on coming back to Mr. J's, is look how much kombu they have. Look, they got so much kombu. Look, they got heaps and heaps of kombu, heaps of seaweed, heaps of wakame. I mean, it's those sort of things that this is what's going to be really important for us moving forward. And even if you wanted to go down the line of getting like tinned food, tinned fish is all here, which is wonderful. Oh, look. All the tinned vegetables as well, which are going to be a real bonus moving forward, just in case, you know, just in case. We don't have to panic buy, but you can definitely have a few of these for you to have in your cupboard. And then of course we need to think about coconut milk, which I'm going to be getting some coconut milk, because I need to absolutely start making my own coconut yogurt again. I've made it in the past, I have a recipe for it. This is the best coconut milk, by the way, the Cara. But if you can't get Cara, just get a nice quality coconut milk. There's jackfruit here as well to make our pulled jackfruit for all our vegans. Well, here it is over here. See? Things have not run out in the store. I love the store. I love the people here that are going to look after us moving forward, and it's our job now to look after them by giving them our business. Right, just one more thing before we go. I want to show you guys the freezer section, because there's also lots of goodies in the freezer section. And once again, it comes down to that flavor, right? So this for me is like first and foremost frozen pandan leaves. If you've ever seen a recipe of mine that has pandan leaves in it, this is what they look like. There is so much flavor in the pandan leaf. It is amazing. It sits in your freezer and you can flavor food, you know, till the end of days, quite frankly. The other thing they have here, which is really cool, is they also have frozen lemongrass, which I love. All the different types of frozen cassava, frozen chilies. But, you know, just this type of food here, all the frozen dumplings and stuff, gorgeous, right? And you just got to check the label, make sure there's, you know, it's gluten-free, make sure it's good for you. And you can still be eating really, really well. So I want us, oh look, even they've got frozen seafood, clams and pippies and fish and all that sort of stuff here. So I definitely want us to start thinking outside the square, because we need to. Calamari, yeah baby. I know, right? I'm so hungry, I'm salivating just walking around. I'm literally salivating right now. And then we can also get some meat, frozen meats, all here as well. So we want to talk about one-stop shop. For me, this is almost, you know, a one-stop shop. I think the only other thing I have to buy that I can't buy here is cat food. I gotta feed our cats. Otherwise they look at me really like, how dare you? What do you mean there's only dry food available? So I've got to buy cat food. But, you know, apart from that, everything's here. I can even buy little treats for the kids, which is wonderful. So I love the store. And I guess what I want to say is that regardless of where we are, regardless of what we're doing, we need to look after each other. We need to support each other during these trying times. We need to start, you know, thinking outside our normality, because life has changed and normal is no longer normal. But, you know, we are here to support you. Mahay and I are here to support you 100% as we're going through this process. The key thing is, and I did take my mask off just to have a chat with you guys very quickly, the key thing is that we need to protect ourselves. We need to protect those around us. And we also just need to, you know, make sure that we're moving forward and being compassionate to our fellow man. So thank you for joining me on today's Q&A. I will see you tomorrow for a knife skills class. We're doing knife skills tomorrow, and then I think the day after that we're doing stir fry class, which is really exciting. We're going back to the basics, and this for me is going back to the basics and shopping local and supporting small businesses. Let's do more of that. All right guys, take care, be well, be safe, look after yourself. I'll see you soon. Bye.